Hello and welcome to another episode of Sacred Pause, the Self Healers podcast. Today, my guest is the one and only Shawn Clancy. He is a former member of Alcoholics Anonymous for over 20 years and now turned plant medicine spiritual seeker. He is an amazing father, an amazing husband, honestly, the best I've ever seen or witnessed. For real. Why are you laughing?
That's
And
that's
he's kind of been a father figure to me as well because he's my partner Paige's dad.
mm.
So without further ado, thank you for taking a sacred pause with me, Shawn.
Mm. Thank you for having me, Kelsey. Right?
You're
As
welcome.
as
You're
as I
welcome.
I'm just grateful for the opportunity to talk to you and especially about the subject and more.
Mm,
So yeah, the sacred pause. I love the title of your show too.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. We're taking a pause of our lives and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to connect, reflect, and dive deep. You ready?
I'm ready to go. Sounds great.
All right. So, first question. How did AA help you? And why did you choose to step away from it?
Wow, AA. Oh man, I love AA. And I think, like you said in the introduction, like I had really had almost, when I was counting, almost 22 years sobriety. Uh, how did AA gave me a life, like I think it does for everybody. It's not guaranteed, you got to work at it, but it definitely did that for me at a time in my life where I needed to probably bring focus and consistency. AA provided really a playground to play in that, structure. So, does that help answer your
Yeah.
question?
Yeah. And then why did you choose to step away from it?
Yes. I feel like to go back to that original question. AA gave me so much, right? And the fact that I don't really participate in AA today, like when I say it gave me a life, it was there for me at the most difficult times and most challenging times of my life, with alcohol, um, primarily, um, and and just it's just an amazing program that I have the utmost respect for, and I have a lot of friends in the program, and so I love it. And so when my time came, like I think the question was when I stepped away, right?
Mm-hmm.
When that time came, it was unexpected, and it was about 6 years ago now, and it really arose out of my wife Yasna's opportunity, as she would call it, with cancer. And in her quest for healing her cancer naturally, it it led us on a journey that had me also get to confront my alcoholism and my sobriety and my consistent sobriety, right? Because I had accumulated like 20, almost 22 years before I diverted.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. So you go ahead. Go ahead. I feel like you have a little more to say there.
yeah. I mean, we can, it's AA itself, and in the rooms of AA, it doesn't really allow for, at least my experience, right? This is obviously all my experience and just my opinion and perception and view and stuff. But AA doesn't really allow a pathway out of AA. So it's very uncommon to exit the program, much less exit the program with anybody's support.
Mm.
It's uh, leaving the program really means that like I'm going to relapse and die. If I continue to drink, I'll die. And so, I've come to, I've come to, I've had to do a lot of deprogramming of that message. That's really vital to a lot of people and valuable to a lot of people. Um, but in my journey that led me away from there again unexpectedly, I discovered that AA wasn't going to support the path that I found myself in, the path to freedom for myself.
Mm-hmm. Was it hard to find the courage to leave?
It was hard. It was really, it was confronting because, like I was proud. A healthy pride
Mm-hmm.
of the time I had accumulated, you know. Um, it's a one day at a time program, the cliche, as they say, and consistency though in that program is valuable, is really valuable, and I valued my sobriety time and the consistency that I had of never being altered, from alcohol or any other substance in my almost 22 years. So it was hard to confront that I was on a path that was going to lead me into plant medicine, and that part of that was, that I was going to be, my mom. I was going to take on altering my perception, and it was in the realm of joining my wife on her journey. Like it was a journey that I could have watched from a distance, but to own it and be responsible for it, I chose to go on it, probably not knowing what was there for me, but really more to support Yasna, and then discovered, oh, I've got my own healing to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Separate from AA.
Separate from AA. Yes, yeah.
Mm. Okay. So I guess we'll dive into plant medicine now. So what role has plant medicine played in your life, in your healing?
I
I know you
laugh.
can go a lot of places there.
I laugh, right? Because like in the same realm that AA gave me just such an abundant life, plant medicine and that journey has opened up just an abundance of opportunities to heal, to heal on the inside, deep emotional stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
yeah. What else?
So has your well, so and I meant to ask this before, but you were in AA and then you left and then you
Mm-hmm.
experimented in plant medicine and just really going all in on yourself and your full freedom without fear or with
Yeah.
fear but with courage.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your relationship now with drugs and alcohol? And I feel like a lot of people who are in AA are scared of plant medicine because they're like, oh, that's drugs, it's addictive, can't do it. So yeah, what would you say to them? And yeah, I feel like you
Yes.
would know best.
Yes. And I think pretty much from the AA perspective, anything that would be mind altering is
Mm-hmm.
a drug, and I think there's a lot of negative connotations to that word in and of itself. Uh, that
Mm-hmm.
is not what plant medicine is. It's not a drug by any means, and it's really a healing tool that is ministered, and where I participate in it at the times that I do, in a very sacred environment and structure,
Mm-hmm.
that brings a lot of reverence to the plant medicine and history, and as well, and a lot of personal intention setting, and in that environment with others, because there's a community that's out there, that anybody can tap into, and like any community, you know it's good to it's good to vet, and not just take it all for, jump in and blindly, but to be smart about it. But it's a beautiful community, and yeah, I mean, going further into AA, and I could speak to my own personal healing.
Please, yes.
I got to see in a ceremony, right, a plant plant medicine ceremony. I got to see and discover my relationship with abuse, with alcohol abuse,
Mm.
or marijuana abuse, and that was really the only two that I ever really got caught into. But I got to see my relationship with that, and out of the experience that I had, I also got to get present to how I never had any respect for alcohol, or really the power of alcohol, or the power of cannabis, and I didn't respect I didn't respect that power, you know, and because I didn't respect it and had no reverence for it. I don't know about reverence as it pertains to alcohol, but definitely have reverence for plant medicine. Uh, out of out of having discovered that and discovered that I wasn't responsible. I was irresponsible with alcohol, and and consequently, I found that it created a lot of havoc in my life, and trouble, and impacted my life in different ways negatively. Uh, you know, family, marriage, legally stuff, right? I found, you know, alcohol had a way of, yeah, I just didn't make good decisions. So, you know, I got to go to a place where I got to see how I wasn't responsible. And I also got to go to a place where I saw that, and I got to and now I get to take responsibility for that. Um, and because I can take responsibility for it, also I've learned that I can trust myself. Trusting my Learning that and discovering that I can trust myself has also freed me from the what I guess others would call, at least in the program, maybe my addiction to alcohol. Like, that's I don't have anything in my space today around drinking.
Mm.
Occasionally I may even have a real beer. I like actually non-alcoholic beer. I prefer non-alcoholic beer, but if a restaurant doesn't have it or something, I'll order real beer. Even I'll have a sip of my wife's wine or something. It doesn't matter. It's not in my space of something I have to worry about or be concerned about. And that supports in some way my path for discovering my own freedom has to have I had to let go of the AA way of life, for me at least, and the teachings of AA. And I would even go as far as to say some of the programming that occurs. I can take on from a place of responsibility like that. I took on some programming from being in the rooms of AA,
Mm.
and that programming showed up when I left AA. The voices in the rooms came into play, and I was hearing stuff that had me question what I was doing, or that would suggest that I'm going to end up, binging or overdosing and dying. You
Yeah.
know, so that that's that was really interesting to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it took time, and I trusted myself and had support. And yeah, I feel so good today. I'm still on the path. I think the path is in front of me for the rest of my life. Um, but yeah, I feel so free, more free than I've ever felt in my life.
Mm. And it seems like AA was a necessary step. AA, and then you just moved on. You listened to yourself, and you kind of changed your mindset. And I was going to ask you your relationship with trust. So I love that you brought that up.
Mm,
Um, what's
yeah.
what's so many questions. What brings you the most joy in your life today?
Well, being present,
Yes,
which
I
is
like that
in
answer.
and of itself is, if I'm present, that's a very joyful state. Um, and, knowing that, for me, a part, I would say some of my life's purpose resides in just continuing to, be on the road of healing. And healing looks like self-awareness,
Yes.
and being more me, discovering more me, uh, and letting go of all of the other bullshit, like self-consciousness and worry and concern. And when I'm present, going back to like joyful states, yeah, when I'm really present, those things don't really exist. As in, like, I just need to look around, right? It's like, wow, things are great.
Why do you think people? I believe people are scared to be present. Would you agree with that?
That's interesting that you say that. I
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think I would say my guess is it's present. Being present, I think, also has some reflection component to, I can only know presence by really probably being able to come from a place of reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise I wouldn't know presence. I have to know what it's like not to be present. So being present is, I think, a way of being. And it would, at least for me, have me look at myself and look at myself and responsibility 100, as me being responsible for everything that's occurring 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, at least I know for me, a lot of times I wasn't really willing to take on responsibility.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is the present moment isn't always bliss and ecstasy. I feel like a lot of people think that. But it's kind of the opposite. You don't know what you're going to get cuz it's just whatever comes up, you got to be with it.
Yeah, yeah. Like yesterday, we went down to the beach, right? Just walked
Mhm.
a few blocks down to the beach. I was so, like, I'd worked all day, and I just had that energy of,
Ugh.
I had energy, and I just, was there, and I was present to it, and I was, it's like, wow, there it is. And why can't I release it? Why can't I just snap my finger and let it go? Hey, I'm aware of it. I'm present to it. Like, I get the impact of it. Like, what else? Like, move, flow through. But no, it's in the body. And we went for just a long walk down the beach, and this was like at 7 o'clock at night, 7:30 at night. And on the way back, I noticed, walking back on the beach still and looking at the sunset and the moons up in the sky behind us, that my body had changed. My energy had that energy had passed.
Mm.
It had passed. I didn't do really anything other than, be out in nature.
Mhm.
And that anxiety or tension, that energy, whatever it is, I mean, I felt like I was present even in the moment with it, but it's not a comfortable presence,
Exactly, yeah.
you know? So there's stuff in there that gets in my body that I'm becoming present to. I don't even know what it is, but it's energy, and it can occupy space, not just in my body, but at times it can occupy space in my mind, and I can get caught up into it. Yesterday on the beach, I didn't get caught up into it intellectually in my head. I just noticed it in my body,
Mhm.
and then it passed. And just being present was beautiful. without that
Have you?
energy.
Yeah, I get that fully. You're so self-aware and self-reflective. I've never asked you this before. Have you always been like that? Been like this? Probably not.
Oh no, 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 no. I and
Wow.
and that I could point to AA. I mean, before
Mm.
AA, which was for me, I was 34, and before that, there was, and before becoming a father, I was all about me. I wasn't really self-aware. I was just out wreaking havoc and partying. So AA beautifully says, we get to create a God of our own understanding. That God, wasn't my upbringing God, but it introduced me to spirituality and gave me a place to create and look out and seek and receive. And I think through that spiritual quest starting, it started to have me become self-reflective and self-aware and start looking at myself, you know,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
from a place of responsibility.
It's your favorite word, I think.
Man, I tell you, I love responsibility.
Can you please explain that a little bit more?
I I I am discovering for me that freedom is at the road called responsibility. Is at the end of the road called responsibility. And that the more responsible I can discover places and areas to be in my life, the more freedom I get to experience. And I also believe that I will never arrive of having discovered all of maybe the infinite places where I can find responsibility, because I think they're just so numerous. Maybe they're not infinite, but they're numerous, probably beyond this life, for me. But yeah, responsibility, I think it's the holy grail, you know, is to living an amazing life and having freedom.
What's that one story you told me once? You wrote, I want to be. You remember that story you wrote, I want to be
Oh
responsible
yeah,
for this much, and then something shifted in your life pretty much immediately?
I the first time, and I was thinking about like, when did responsibility actually arise for me?
Yeah.
Well, it was like in 1987, and I was working in this restaurant, Chinois in Maine. I'll plug Wolfgang Puck, in Santa Monica, right? Uh, and I used to write post-it notes to myself while I was waiting tables. And I remember writing one day, and I saved this post-it note. I can't wait to find it. I just moved recently, so I don't know where it's at. But I wrote, "I want as much responsibility as I can get." I wrote it on the post-it note. I didn't know why, but I just thought if I had a lot of responsibility, I would have a big life.
You
And
just knew that. Wow.
I just thought that. And at that time, I was 4 years away from even discovering responsibility as something that I would take on, you know, because it wasn't until I like really found out I was becoming a father that I started to like realize, oh, I've got to get responsible, you know, and that was really my introduction to responsibility. It was really wasn't before that.
Did you feel like that gave you a purpose? So your responsibility um theme here, and it seems like it's like kind of like your motto, is it, you think it's because it gives you more purpose? When you have a purpose, you have more energy, you're more excited, it's easier to get up in the morning. You think they're connected?
Yeah, I think they're connected for me,
Yeah.
at least in a way where like, um, I'm, listen, I'm blind to responsibility at times until I realize, oh, wait a second, I need to be responsible there. Like I have responsibility in that situation too, for whatever's was created or however I find myself. And
Mm.
so that, I think that goes in line with my purpose,
Mm-hmm.
my quest, my journey. you know?
Yeah, and then you say the more responsibility you have, the more freedom you have, and it sounds like that's because you trust yourself and you only have control over yourself. So, you get what I'm saying? I can't really explain it very well. You're free because your only responsibility you only have control over yourself, and you trust that you got it. So you're free and it doesn't matter what's going on. It's just you and the control you have over you.
Yeah, I mean, to think about if I'm responsible 100% for everything that arises in my life, and then if it's all on me, in whatever it is that I'm intending for myself, and I'm called in drawn to the path of experiencing more and more freedom in all realms,
Because
then
everything's the same.
because everything's the same, then it's I think then it's related.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about when Paige was born and how being a father changed you.
Wow. So yes. So when she was born, right, I was 31, and it changed everything. I mean, talk about like there's no education really for parenting, or maybe 31 years ago there didn't seem to be, although there were some great books. But I would have had to pull that stuff towards me, and like a lot of people, I was really unprepared for the responsibility of being a father. I had
Mm.
no idea what it involved, and it was coming. And so when it happened, yeah, the gift of being a father and having Paige, first daughter, uh, is that it totally shifted my life, and all of a sudden I had purpose. You talk about purpose, right? Like all of a sudden there was a purpose that was bam, like to provide for somebody else, you know, to provide for my family. Um, it set me on a different path. It altered my life. It changed everything for
Mm.
me. Just because of where I was at. So it felt like a 180 flip, and it's so rewarding, and it's hard. Parenting is hard. It's at least the most heartbreaking job. like,
It's
you
the
know,
most heartbreaking job. Oh boy.
yeah.
Oh
It's
boy.
that, and it's also the most heart filling
Yeah. Okay.
job.
Yeah.
It's got it
It's
all.
both.
It's got
Yeah.
it all, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade it for anything. And that experience, it can only be experienced parenting. You can,
Yeah.
you can talk about it, because I talk a lot with friends and stuff who are on the path to that, becoming a parent, and I know now. I mean, you don't really know to the degree that changes things. And that experience, wow, it's a great choice in life to go that route.
Mm. Mm. That's what everyone keeps telling us, me and Paige.
Yeah. I'm
One day,
excited.
one day.
One day, I'm so excited for you guys when that happens. It'll be the right
Yes.
time.
I don't know if I'm sure Paige told you, but our plan is to start the process in January. So I was gonna say I'm excited, and that's definitely not the word yet.
Yeah,
But I'm on board to start the process in January. So
yeah. Are you
mark your
scared?
calendars.
Are you scared when you think about it?
Uh, um, I feel nothing. I feel nothing. It's kind of just like I don't think I've dived deep enough into leaned into the feeling yet.
Yeah.
But everyone keeps saying it's like the biggest growth opportunity, which I guess when you hear that, that's scary because you only grow when you are in the trenches a little, in some pain, in some
Yes.
confusion.
Yes. Sure. When we're
So
confronted, right? So it's
yeah,
confronting, definitely.
and you have no control over that, so it's less control, more responsibility. Um, my biggest thing is like time. It's time, like having not having time anymore to do what I do now. But everyone says, "Oh, don't worry about that." Would you agree?
Don't worry about that. Your time's not important.
Exactly my point. That's my point. Your time is no longer important. So please, that's what I mean.
Yeah, you're
Make me feel better about that.
like you'll be. I would imagine you'll be. At least for me, it was my time over here with my attention, on my daughter, on this new life, like was so much more interesting than my own solo time.
Ah, okay.
So that's definitely how I was for at the beginning, and it's good to take care of myself, right? And I suggest it's good to take care of oneself when they're become a parent. Like you got to still have your time to recharge and nurture yourself. That's going to be important, and you guys will work that out.
So yeah, you have to learn how to really have balance. That's why two parents is
Yeah.
always great.
Yes. Yeah.
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 It's a whole new ball game if you're just a single parent.
Yeah.
I'm feeling compassion for those single parents now. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two parents, even with two homes, right? I mean, I lived that for a lot of my fatherhood.
Exactly.
Where my daughters would leave and go to their moms, and then I would have like Shawn time, and I think probably it was good. It had its good aspects. It also had its really sad and heartbreaking aspects,
Mm-hmm.
because I missed them and I missed fathering, and I hated that maybe there was another man that was going to have an influence over my daughters, so that
Mm.
had its own challenges. Uh, but then when I had them, it was the time was cherished. I welcomed it.
What was your biggest fear before you had children and then after?
My biggest fear from from the realm of unconsciousness, like just before I have children, right? Like partying, just having a great time. Like, what was my biggest fear? That maybe I wasn't going to, fulfill on my dream of what I
Mm.
wanted to do at that time, and like be an actor, and uh, that I was going to fail. And then my biggest fear after was totally initially was providing, you know, one
Not
just
being able to provide?
yeah, not being able to
Yeah.
provide,
Uh-huh.
um, financially, and um, yeah, I would say that was my biggest fear.
Mm. So you have two daughters and you have your current wife and you have your first wife and then you have a baby mama. So what role has all of these women and now you have me. So what role has all these and you have a lot of sisters too. So what role
Yes.
has all of these women played in your life? It's got to be powerful, I'm assuming.
Wow. I think, well, one, I think I'm totally blessed to be in the space of feminine energy, and a
Mm.
lot of women in my life. I I love women. I love that feminine energy. It's it's different, at least from where I sit, you know, as a man, but it's beautiful and rewarding and enriching, and yeah. And I've learned that like I also, like I said earlier, like I need to take care of me, and I it's important. My male relationships are really important to balance it out, because on the
Yeah.
male on the male friendships and stuff, that does really nurture me, and has me get to show up. It supports me in showing up a certain way in the midst of you know women, somebody that you know I want to be somebody that women can feel safe around, and like I can hold a space where it's where it's safe and nurturing and loving and supportive, and yeah, so
I really meant it in my intro when I said that you are like the best husband, best father that I've ever witnessed. So what do you attribute that to? Because I really mean it, and I have some self-consciousness around it because I know other fathers that I know are gonna be listening, like mine. And like uncles and other people. So, but I have to ask, so what do you attribute that skill to? I don't know what else to call it.
well, I should turn it back on you. I don't, because I'm not sure what you witness or see, but
Ah.
I can tell you that that comment honors me and fulfills on an intention that I've had ever since, Paige was a baby, and fulfills on my commitment, or at least validates my commitment to be the best father I can be, like to be the best at that I can be, the most caring and loving and supportive. And I've yeah, I've missed a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of blind spots in areas in my time as a father, and it hasn't always been like what you may be experiencing it as, right? It
Mm-hmm.
hasn't. But I've grown, as a father, as a man, as a person, that has me show up differently than I did before, in ways that you are, you know, giving me this compliment that, is, like I said, I mean, that's maybe the best compliment I could hear,
Wow.
you know.
Have you heard it before?
I've been acknowledged,
Yeah.
for being a father, a good father, and that's what I hear. What you're, and hearing, taking in, and receiving acknowledgement. That's also been a process of being able to receive something like that,
Yeah.
because I would, I think my lack of self worth in the past would have me deflect that.
Mm.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, on the side, you could reflect to me like, what had you say that? But really from a place of, I'm really just being me, and at this point, really in my life too, I'm trying to connect more with my heart, and that's what I really look forward to into bringing to fatherhood and um, father-in-lawhood. Is like more heart into
Mm-hmm.
my relationships,
Mm.
because it's been a lot of this in the past, a lot of this, just trying to do things right.
Yeah, so would you say you live more in your mind now or in your heart?
I think I just discovered feelings,
That's true. That's right. You told
nine
me that.
months ago, like like, oh, these feelings are probably connected to my heart in some way. So I've been somebody who lived in my head for a long time, and I'm really getting that the place for me to spend a lot more time with, and to conduct my life from, is my heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when is the first time you felt true self-love?
True self love. Wow.
Is there a moment that comes to mind?
I love little Shawn today. Right, like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
spend
Mm-hmm.
time. I spend time with little Shawn. Today, periodically. So uh, I would say my access to that, which is probably, you could say, it would be the first time, was probably in my first plant ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
and where I got presented. I'll share this short little story. Right, I got presented with getting. Well, there was a lead up to it, in that a dear friend of mine from high school was asking for a testimonial letter because he was going through divorce and a custody battle, and he asked me for this letter to write about who he was, and I know who he was, right? A kind, gentle, committed father, and he deserved, uh, uh, to share in custody of his daughter. I had forgotten. A few weeks passed, and I had forgotten to write that letter. I just didn't get to it, and I found myself in the ceremony, and that came to me. What came to me was, wow, I didn't do that letter for my dear friend Kevin, and I just felt so bad. I was just like, God, I felt so bad. And all of a sudden, what appeared was a chest, and on top of the chest, it said, "Not going to forgive myself for." And I knew that in that chest was everything that I'd always had, like would hold against myself for not doing. Right. So it said, things we're not going to forgive myself for. And that's where I was putting this next one. I hadn't written that letter for my dear friend Kevin. Man, I'm not going to forgive myself for that, right? I can put it in that chest. But I was given the opportunity to, like, hey, do you want to open the chest? And, I said yes. And the chest got opened and it was empty. And this wave just flew over me, like washed over me.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
And like that there was nothing to forgive myself for. There was nothing in there. Nothing to forgive myself for that I hadn't done, or even the things that I had done. That was in that same realm of things I would never forgive myself for. And there was nothing there. So I got that just was that there wasn't anything there. And that relief, I opened up my opportunity to experience self-love.
Wow, that was a great answer. It's a beautiful story. Wow.
So freeing.
Wow. Wow. Okay, mind blown. Is there anything that comes to mind that you still haven't let go of that you really want to let go of?
Yeah, I believe not to keep it alive, but to just to acknowledge it. There's still an energy of worry, concern, protecting that I can carry, that arises within me. And like a lot of that stuff, I'm coming to believe it doesn't necessarily always relate to the present moment or what just happened. It comes in from even someplace long ago, some energy that I've carrying from, little Shawn days, probably. So I'm really committed to my freedom, and in that freedom, it's about being more me. And I can't be me authentically when I've got an energy of worry and concern in my space, and or that I got to be on guard. It's that I got to be on guard, and yeah, I think that will show up in when I also meet people, right? Like I want to really be there and be present for people, but I have to, I want to start becoming even more responsible for like let's move this energy off to the side or let it go. Like there's nothing to be worried about, concerned about, on guard about when I meet somebody. That's just an example, but it's that's what I'm present to in my current journey. Is I'm going to release that so that I can be more me, more present, more authentic, more interested, more over there on your side, like, and curious, more curious.
Yeah, I feel like you do that very well. Very well. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. You do it so well.
Really?
Did you know that?
How do you mean uncomfortable?
'Cause you're so present, you're, like, looking through my soul. Sometimes I can't meet you there, and then I'm like, "Oh, man, I wish I could meet him there, but I can't. I want to, but it's hard," and I'm going back and forth while we're having a conversation. But you seem like you're all the way there, and it's
Hmm.
uncomfortable because I guess it's uncomfortable because I'm scared if I meet you, I'm gonna have to get vulnerable. And being
Yeah.
vulnerable is not comfortable, but that's where the
Hmm.
growth is. So you do that
Yeah.
so well
Mm.
already.
Well.
So I mean, yeah,
Mm.
that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for that compliment again. And
Yeah,
like, I mean, that's where the juice is, right? Like
I
I
know.
want to be vulnerable. That's why I don't want to be guarded, protected,
Yeah, yeah.
worried, concerned. Like that has me too much to all in my head. I want to be in my heart. I want to be vulnerable. Like I've got nothing to be ashamed of. You know, I, I've had the experiences in my life that I've had, and I'd like to think that at least now, not always, but like at least now, like they serve me in terms of what I'm committed to and being in healing myself,
Mhm.
in loving myself, you know. Um, so I take all of it from the past as good, and so yeah, and thank you for that because I want to. That's where I want to meet people, in that space of vulnerability. I don't think vulnerability is a it's it's not a weak place. I had it be weak for a long time. So I'd guard myself against being vulnerable because I
Mhm.
viewed it as weak,
Same.
you know? And gosh, it's not by any means, it's not. And what I'm just even getting right now, something that I've been almost saying to Yasin in a way, like thinking it's over, like she's discovering her power in her heart because she's a very competent woman and successful and like I she's doing her own growth and like I see wow she's going to be this going to be more powerful woman than she's ever been and but like really
Mm.
that's I'm talking to myself now and discovering that's going to where my power is starting to rise. I would say in my willingness to be vulnerable and be in my heart, and then
Mhm.
and I'm excited about like wow, what can I create from that place? You know, creating from here, it's tiring. You know, there's burnout all
That's where
eventually.
burnout lives.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's been cyclical for me. In my at least my professional life of work and stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, more heart, more vulnerability.
Mhm.
You know, and listen, Kelsey, you are so open. You have such an amazing heart, as I've told you numerous times.
Yeah, you were
You
the
know,
first person to tell me that. Yeah.
mm, and yeah, it's so juicy. So I love the heart, your heart, and how you bring that to your life and share it with others.
Thank you. Yes, I am learning that that's where all the power is. Because just like you, I've lived in my head ever since plant medicine was introduced to me, which you and Yasna introduced me and Paige to it. So thank you for that as well. Because my life changed after our first journey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Life changed, and then that's when the whole journey really began. Lots of
Yeah.
roller coasters, lots of ups and downs, but I am a completely different person, and by that I mean I'm way more myself and
Mm.
so much more self-love. I didn't even know what self-love was. That was obviously a term back then, maybe 5 years ago. Obviously that was a term. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know about it. If someone were to mention it, I would like it would have been I wouldn't he really hear it.
Yeah.
But now it's like my number one thing, and it's
Mm.
so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always forget you and Yasna were the ones. I remember when you kept poking us, telling us, "Hey, you should try this out. You should try this out," and then we finally said yes. So thank you
Yeah.
for that as well.
Oh, you're welcome. And I mean, have you found that community as a generally speaking, at least, is a community that advocates for more love, more self-awareness, more presence, more connection. Yeah.
100%. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
That type of unconditional love. I didn't even know it existed. And for
Yeah.
it to exist in people who don't even know you, who you meet at the first time and you just feel it, like, whoa, this person loves me and I don't even know them. They don't even know me. It doesn't matter. I didn't know that existed until I was introduced to the plant medicine community. And there's different communities, and I've now been I'm a part of my third now. And um, this one's my favorite, and I just got introduced to it like last month. So it's a beautiful
Wow.
thing. It kind of grows with you. You know, whatever you need, the universe will provide in all
Mm.
areas of your life
Mm-hmm.
if you're really watching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's beautiful. It's just I have
Mm.
truth bumps everywhere. It really got me to where I'm at right now.
Yes.
Woo!
Nice. That's nice
Yes.
testimonial for plant medicine. And
I know.
and, and like
I know.
I was laughing as you were saying that, because we were in ceremony this weekend with 10 other people in the circle, 9 who had never met. One was the facilitator, and you know, by the next day, like, I love this woman. like like
See?
I loved the people that were in the circle, right? Because there's a like-mindedness, and it's not easy. It's not easy work. It's not an easy work. It's, it's work, as we call it, as you know, right? And it's not easy. It's, whoever might, if there's any preconceived notions out there that it's checking out in any way, it's actually the contrary,
Yes.
right? It's checking in.
Yes.
It's really checking in, and that road, we get to discover so much about ourselves and heal, and being around people who want that and who are in that game. Yeah, it's a great environment. you know One of my
Talk about
favorites.
support. Talk
Yeah.
about support. It's a support that I've never felt before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Love it.
Mm.
Okay, well, a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was really excited to ask you this question. So, what beliefs have you had to let go of in the exploration of your higher self?
I love some of your questions. Like, they're so broad. Like, whoa, I guess here's this huge question. What
And then
beliefs
I
have I
love
had to
watching
let
people
go
hone
of?
in. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, beliefs. It's what did I? They're by choice, right? They're, in a way, in the realm of responsibility. Like, I took on believing something. Um, so what did I have to give up? Was, that I think the road, it's not the same for us all. I think for a long time I wanted to go and follow the what others said. I trusted, I think, a lot in, and just expected that there was always good intention out there, and that everything that was being delivered was just for my best. And it's not. It's not. We're all, in ways, I think, at times could be, guilty of pushing our agenda. You know, there's a lot of that way of living out there. So,
Mm.
you know, for me, I'd say, just having to let go of how the world would have it be, or how the world would say it to be, to really discover, what I've got to bring to the world is me and my authenticity, and that's the gift. That's my
Mm.
contribution. you know?
Yeah, just you being you. So
Yeah.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is simple. But you really have to do so much work to get the clutter out, to clear your space so that you can really feel yourself. But
Right.
once you get there, and then once you get there, you have to continue doing that. It's just like a
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
But there's no other
It's
process I'd
ongoing.
rather be a part of. Yeah.
Mm.
It's gonna be it's an everyday process.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is.
Yes. So I like to open up to you if you have anything you'd like to share, a question for me. Um, I feel like you would like that. Turn it on you a little more.
It, anything that I would like to say?
Yeah, anything you're
Well,
called to share, or ask me any question or anything like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I think I've said enough about me, definitely. And I got to share the things that are really like up for me, So thanks for asking. We definitely got into the areas where I'm at work on, for myself,
Mm,
um,
mm, love it.
and to reflect on that's awesome. So, uh,
Mm,
you
great.
know, what are you creating? Really?
I
What
knew
you
you were
know?
going to be the guest to ask the question, and I'm ready.
Great.
Is that it? What am I creating?
Yeah, like what are you like? What are you creating? What are you really standing in? How far out are you? Is that creation, that intention of yours?
Oh boy, it's far out, and it's very simple. My motto is there is nothing more important than letting go. So whenever I'm attaching or feeling some type of way, and it's obvious, when you're in tune with your body, it's obvious when you're attaching and you're nervous and you're scared and you're hiding. So
Yeah.
nothing more important than letting go. It washes away everything. And sometimes it's way easier than other times. But I believe that wholeheartedly. If I just continue to let go and that's it, oh my God, all my dreams are going to come true. All of them.
Mm.
All of them. And I don't even know what they are. But I'm just going to keep letting go and listening, letting go and listening. And
Mm-hmm.
that makes me more myself. And that's where all the beauty is, as you were describing.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that answered your question. Did it?
It did. And
Yes.
and what is your intention with creating podcasts?
To creating my podcast?
Yeah. Yes. The
Um,
sacred pause.
yes, yes. Um, I just wanted to help people get more in touch with themselves and realize that they have all the power in the world to help themselves, and that usually it's ourselves that are holding ourselves back. It's all us. So I'm calling it Sacred Pause, the Self Healers Podcast. Um, just kind of bringing it back to us, self-love, self-connection, because that's the gold. Once you do that, everything gets easier and more clear and more fun, and you can really deal with the issues that you have been not dealing with most of your life. You can deal with your childhood issues, relationship issues. It's all so connected. But if you just focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, like
Yeah.
I don't even like that word. It's yeah, focus on yourself in a selfless way. Um,
That's
you know,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
give
Beautiful.
yourself love, connect to yourself, and honest, the rest will just work itself out. The rest will work
Yeah.
itself out, and we only have control over ourselves. So why are we focusing on anything else?
Yes. I
and
love it.
it's and I'm learning. I'm growing so much. I'm so nervous, but before podcasts I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning so much about other people and and the whole world in general, and why I'm scared to connect with people. And relationships have always been hard, all types of relationships, my entire life. So doing shit like this is not easy for me. so
Yeah.
so it's also a way to hopefully help others, but I mean, in the most selfless way, it's helping me just ridiculously in all the areas of my life. Just doing this podcast and committing to one episode a week. Life
Yes.
changing. Life changing.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. So it just checks all of the boxes for me.
Yeah. thank you for having creating a space to have like real conversation. Like this
Mm.
is this is how I this is how I want to talk to the woman coming out of the grocery store, or
Right?
you
Yeah.
know, the guy I meet at the gas station. You know, so
Yeah.
thank you for having it out in the world as something real. You know, so you're
Thank
that.
you.
I get like you're standing in that. So yeah, and you're doing it. So I'm so proud of you.
I'm doing it. Thank
I'm
you
so
so
proud of
much.
you. Yeah, you're such an
Thank you.
amazing woman, such a powerful
Thank you.
creator, so loving and generous. Hmm.
Ooh, generous. I like that word. I don't know if anyone's ever called me generous.
Really?
Well,
I experienced your generosity.
received.
Yeah,
Received. Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
I like that.
You're
Thank
generous
you.
of the heart.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, if you're generous there, what else even matters?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ah, I'm so glad I opened it up to you. So,
Hmm.
I don't know if you're too heavy on Instagram or anything, but if any of our listeners love your story, so inspired by your story, and possibly want to connect deeper and follow you, is there anywhere they could go?
Oh, this is what I wasn't prepared for, right?
And
Like
I know this is
I
my fault. I meant to mention this because I know you're not big on that stuff.
I checked out it.
Um,
I signed out right after after the Social Dilemma documentary, right? I like checked out, but I get
ah,
that
yeah,
it's I get that it's just you know like if I wasn't if I maybe I wasn't disciplined around these tools for connection, like
yeah.
Instagram, like Facebook, and so I did recently realize like I need to get back on. Um, so I am going to get back on. How would I find out? I mean, I've never really figured out any slick code words or names or anything, right? So it's probably whatever, you
You
know,
mean
where would I
are you
find it?
asking me what your are you
Yeah, like
asking
what
me
is
what your
my
username is?
like how would
Yeah,
I find it?
I'm
Like
pretty okay. So I'm pretty sure it's just your name, Shawn Clancy. But
yeah,
let me just double check.
could be Shawn Clancy. Oh wait, here's my profile. Edit my profile. Name Shawn
Okay,
Clancy. Oh wait.
now now we have an issue.
Username
You have two. You have two Instagrams.
Shawn M Clancy.
Okay, you want to go with that one. Okay, cool.
That says my username, Shawn M Clancy. It's got a
Okay,
picture of my wife and I on it.
perfect. I see
Yeah.
that one. Okay, great. Shawn M. Clancy. Cool. Oh, and then I would I meant to ask you any advice you would have for anyone who is in AA and it's just not feeling right anymore. It's just not feeling right. How what words of advice could you give them?
Wow. You know, I get like to that person who might be being called. You know, that's a you know I'm gonna interpret how you teed that up as somebody who's looking maybe for more
Mhm.
and is comfortable in their sobriety. You know, and
Yes.
feels really grounded.
Yes.
Um, you know, to it's okay. I would say there's a life outside of AA. There has been for me, and that that my path is led to more freedom and has led to more fulfillment in my life. And AA fulfilled me when I was in AA. I needed nothing else. Uh, so I would say to that person to if they want to reach out to me, they can reach out to me. I'm totally willing to have a conversation.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
just to, you know, from a place of responsibility, seek, you know, start asking around, you know, it's going to have to be outside the circles of AA, but you know, as if you're listening to this podcast, you know, you know there's a lot more going on in this world, you know, than we really see or are that's forced upon us, you know.
Mhm.
So just seek, you'll find your way.
Yes. And any other tools other than plant medicine that got you to where you are right now?
Landmark Communications.
Yep.
I don't know if you caught that, but you know, when I was expounding on my own discovery of responsibility and creating uh, Landmark, has been awesome for me, and I'm still in the Landmark conversation because I got a lot of friends from Landmark, and they're so committed to communication and effective communication that I totally support, encourage anybody to jump into that. And other influences in my life like David Data, and for men the book The Way of the Superior Man, and I would say the woman's version is Dear Lover, but David Data's work I love, and Justin Sterling and the Sterling Men's Weekend, 20 years ago, totally had a lasting and lifelong impact on my life, that I get to share with the people that I did the weekend with 20 years ago, still today. So all those things created relationships, interestingly, coincidentally, so like when we involve ourselves in communities, you could say they're communities, right? Plant ceremony community, like we talked about. There's a Landmark community for sure, and there's a community in these other things. John Wineland, give a plug out to John Wineland because he's just a master at the David Data technology and facilitating, and check him out.
Awesome. That's a lot of tools. Thank you. Love it.
Yeah, sure.
Love it.
Thank
My
you.
last question is, the podcast is called Sacred Pause. So I'm just wondering what a sacred pause means to you.
Yes. I really get what you said at the beginning. Like your intention was for Sacred Pause in the podcast to be like this moment of really just stopping, right? And this conversation has delivered on me being present, more present than when I started, right? So I would say that Sacred Pause for me relates to presence. It's the state of presence.
And yeah, it's when I'm talking to you today, I'm learning so much about when I'm jumping when I'm in the present, and then I jump out, and then I'm like, why did I jump out? And then I jump back in. It's like such a fun practice, but also so scary. So thank you for letting me practice.
Sure. Yeah.
That's like one way of looking at it.
Yeah, and like you say, like things jumping into the mind. I'm also just recently got like, I'm going to start developing a relationship with my mind, not as my mind. I was looking at my mind as a kind of not necessarily an adversary, right? Because my mind would like just be bombarding me with stuff that would take me out. But like I get now, like, hey, let's work together, and I get to start to like let my mind know, like there's certain things like are no longer, like this is not the space for those things to come into anymore. Like almost like a declaration, right? This is where presence resides, and these other things that would distract me don't really belong here anymore. So that's my most recent little work I'm going to start working on to get
how
more
exciting.
present.
More present. Yeah, you're
that
already
doesn't
at a good level.
that doesn't make sense, right? Well, there is no more presence.
Well,
Presence
what you
is
mean
presence.
you probably mean you want to spend more of your day being present.
Yes, you
Yeah.
got it. Yes.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here. That is the goal.
Yeah.
That is my goal too. Well, thank you so much. You're the best.
I love you. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Thank
I love
you.
you too.
So glad to have done this with you. Thank you for the invitation, and can't wait to talk to you. Can't wait to see you next month too.
Yes, can't wait to see your jungle in Florida. I really can't.
Awesome.